Welcome, everyone, to our monthly Recruiter on Call with Jobs. I'm delighted to welcome Bill Fell from Higher IQ with me today. This is being live streamed on my LinkedIn as well as on the YouTube channel of the Great Careers PHL. So you will find the event on YouTube. If you want to watch it later or want other people to watch it later, it's under our lives. So we are going to begin, and I just want to first introduce myself, and then I will introduce Bill and then have him tell a little bit more about himself. So I'm Lynne Williams, and I am in Paoli, Pennsylvania, which is in the suburbs of Philadelphia. And I do two things mainly. I write resumes and LinkedIn profiles, LinkedIn company pages, and focus on keywords. And I also run a 501c3 nonprofit, which provides career education to job seekers, to entrepreneurs, to people who are employed who want career management tips. So we kind of have something for everybody. And we run about 18 to 25 events a month. So lots of things going on. Mostly we do things online. However, here in my office, which I call the zoo, if you came to my office, you see I have animals all around. We do some hybrid events, and then I will be doing a career readiness camp for teens in the summer. And I'm going to have some online options as well as in-person options for some locals here. So those are my two hats. Mainly, you can reach me on LinkedIn and on greatcareers.org, which is the nonprofit website. So I've known Bill Fell for probably over a decade. He and I run into each other in many networking meetings because he is also local. So, Bill, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Thanks, Lynn. Lynn and I have, as Lynn mentioned, let's slow down the brain and talk normally. We have known each other for more than 10 years. I'm an executive life science recruiter. I've been focused solely on life sciences, medical device, pharmaceutical, biotech, clinical research companies for more than 16 years now. And wife just joined the company in May of last year. I went from being a solopreneur to now we're a small business because there's two of us. And 16 years of doing the recruiting, I've done over 300 placements, anything from entry level to CEO. So positions we work on typically are have compensation of a minimum of $60,000 over upwards up to $500,000. So the range there, and areas that we focus on: sales, marketing, communications, engineering, clinical development, research and development. You name it, across the board. There's two areas we try to avoid: accounting, finance, and also IT. Everything else, we have been involved with in one way or the other.
All right. So we have folks here. I don't know why the chat is not coming up on the stream here. Maybe there's a slightly delayed reaction. I don't know. I don't want to enter it full screen. But anyway, so just so you know, Bill, we have folks here coming in from, John is coming in from Chicago, and Jay, I think, is in New Jersey. April's coming in from Athens. Oh, Jay's from Massachusetts. Arendam is coming in from Philly. Somebody's coming in from Canada. We don't see your name. Michael Van Hall is coming in from the other side of the country. He's in Riverside, California. Another Corey, Greater Philadelphia. Pascal from Canada. And and Meg is saying that I got the wrong Higher IQ page tagged. I'll have to fix that later. Can't do it live now. but those things happen. I saw staffing and recruiting, so I guess I clicked the wrong one. Somebody else is coming in from Orlando. Hey, Orlando, I will be there in 10 days. I got to go see my man, Mickey Mouse. This will be my second trip of the year. So, you gave us information about you and your background. So let's talk about the hiring landscape now. It's a pretty crazy job market. I don't know that I've seen anything this wild since probably 2008, 2009. But what kind of trends are you seeing in the hiring landscape right now? What's happening out there?
Sure. 2025 was definitely on the slower side. We did probably eight to 10 placements. I think it was actually, we did 9 placements in 2025. Normally we're doing 20 to 25, so it's just like a little bit slower than normal. We're moving at light speed in 2026. We've had companies reaching out to us that have actually asked us, it's like, hey, we need assistance with finding this, that, and the other. And it's keeping we're getting busy as it is, and we're looking for great candidates.
That's awesome. All right, so let's talk about resumes because that's sort of my livelihood. And I know one thing you're going to tell me, but how does a job seeker stand out with an effective resume other than I know you want to see that zip code after the city and state because that's the way your database works. So what else other than the need of a zip code at the top of a resume, what helps that client or stand out for you?
Don't need their street address. Now let's actually, we realize it's just like you don't need to have your street address on your resume, but having the city, state, and zip definitely makes it easy. And honestly, with regards to the city, state, and zip, if you live in a rural town and since have people from all across the country here and you're 15, 20 minutes from a major metropolitan area, just use the metropolitan area. If that's where you think you're going to be working, especially if you're going to be working on site, that's fine. With sales roles, most often, if you're covering a large geographic area, they just want to have an idea where you're at. And the biggest thing, especially if you're covering a multiple state location or multiple state territory, that you actually are close to an international airport, because that actually is going to be able to helpful across the board. With regards to what to include on the resume. So make sure you have your name, your phone number, your URL to your LinkedIn profile, your email address, and also city, state, and zip, as we've mentioned. And then go into the details and else like that.
But what else makes it stand out? Like, how does you have 2 candidates. What differentiates one from another? Like, I require candidates to give me metrics in every single bullet point. I have high expectations. So, that's my jam.
Lynn, great question. The biggest one is numbers, whether it's dollars, percentages, rankings, what have you. And it doesn't have to, even if you are an engineer, even if you are a scientist, or you're running clinical trials, because I focus solely on life sciences, as it's like be able to have numbers that you was a member of a team that actually had 8 members. We were able to be on time. We met our goals of being on time, delivering X, Y, and Z variables. That we were able to have save costs. We were able to show that we were under budget. That we actually we were going after having a clinical trial that actually had 200 people in it. We had 325. We were able to roll more people in that. Show how you made an impact in your last couple positions. And honestly, it's just say, okay, manage where you're giving just general statements. No, find the numbers. Try to find the numbers as much as possible.
Yes, I absolutely agree. And no, I don't agree with putting any street address on on a resume, because anybody can look you up on Zillow.com. But I think you need to tell people how you helped a company make money, save time, improve processes, maybe how many people or on your team, or what size of company you work for if you can't come up with an individual contributor metric or something like that. So there's a question I saw from John. Are recruiters relying more on candidates' LinkedIn profiles or resumes, or is it both?
We look at both. The big thing is I want to make sure, especially making sure that they match. And it was interesting, and probably in the last 3 weeks, I had an executive candidate speaking with, and went through, was looking at his resume and then looking at his LinkedIn profile, and I was noticing dates weren't matching. In fact, they were off by not a month or so, they were off by a year. And I was just like, okay, what's the correct date here? And I'm like, and you were going after a position that where attention to detail was key, and you're not even showing the attention to detail on your LinkedIn profile and resume. So making sure,
Amen.
the biggest thing is just like, yes, they don't need to be the same, but the dates and the companies that you work for do need to match. Because honestly, when you have the discrepancies, okay, then 5 other questions now occur, and you actually now have to explain yourself in that scenario.
I typically work with clients very hard to get a solid base resume. If you have a well-written resume with bullets that have metrics in it, I feel that can be copied and pasted into LinkedIn. And I totally agree with you. You've got to check, double check, make sure that all the dates, the months, the years are matchy. That attention to detail or detail oriented, whatever you want to call it. I mean, it is really important. And I have heard horror stories of somebody making an offer and then HR going back and saying, oh, this doesn't match to this. And, people have had their offers reneged. So, but that's different than a recruiter. But I mean, an internal HR person, I've heard a couple stories about that. So I know Merrill Cass is on the line, and I, for some reason or another, don't see his messages yet. Maybe he's one of those LinkedIn users that's popping in. But Merrill Cass is always on our calls and moderating the chat, and he will be putting in the link for people to join the restream at the end in case you want to come up here on stage and ask questions. So I'm going to get through some more questions with Bill before we invite anybody up to the stage. But let's talk about, LinkedIn and personal branding. So you already said that you go to people's LinkedIn profiles. What do you see? Do you see people building a brand, or do you see some people that need some improvement?
There are definitely some candidates that need some work. The biggest thing is making sure that they understand. I mean, there is 2 schools of thoughts with LinkedIn profiles. Actually, vague terminology in your profile heading, and versus where I'm looking for a director of sales, I'm looking for a director of engineering, I'm looking for a team lead in clinical trials. And if you don't have those type of titles on your LinkedIn profile, when I'm searching for candidates, you're not going to pop up. Versus, okay, if you have something that's vague, where it's just like, okay, led sales team. Okay, well, you didn't say that you were a director of sales. And I was just like, so you might be slipping through the cracks kind of thing, where just be able to have it where outgoing individual. Well, okay, that's great, but that's not a job title I ever look for. So there's certain things that you just say with regards to your personal brand. What do you want to be known for? And I'm known for as being an executive life science recruiter. And everybody's like, what is life sciences? Medical device, diagnostic, pharmaceutical, biotech, clinical research. It's like that covers it in a nutshell. And I was just like, yes, probably 70, 80% of our placements are sales related. We do engineers, we do scientists, we help with PhDs. From entry level to CEO, we've been involved with it. So, and there
Right.
one of the comments
I see some people. I see some people
I
in the chat in this world, so I'm sure they're going to be reaching out to you.
That's good. I noticed one of the comments. It was just like, okay, that companies are not even acknowledging that they've received a resume, and that's unfortunate. One of the things with when you register with Higher IQ to be considered for positions, as it's like you receive a confirmation email within 2 to 3 minutes of actually registering. We try to talk with as many candidates as physically possible on a daily basis and be able to actually just like connect with them. Sometimes you look great on paper. You look great on LinkedIn. I have a conversation with you that's anywhere from 20 minutes to 45 minutes, and you interrupt me 7 times. And honestly, I just like, okay, this is what going to be. You're going to be a challenging individual with regards to placing or stuff like that, because you're giving me the impression that you know everything. Yes, you have PhD. Yes, you have an MBA. You have some impressive credentials. But honestly, the biggest thing we always have to remember: it's not companies hiring people; it's people hiring people. And whoever you're interviewing with, that you have to make sure that you try to get some type of connection. You don't have to become best friends, but you do have to actually make sure that you're able to have a conversation with someone. Yes, I understand being nervous. As you can tell, I was nervous initially in the first minute or two of this call, but it's one where it's just like, okay, take a breath, take a step back, come to the realization everybody's in the same boat, and let's just actually have a conversation. Let's make sure I'm asking good questions, I'm answering good questions, and I'm trying to give information across the board. And I'm sorry for people, and I'm sorry for people being ghosted, but honestly, it's the biggest one where it's just like, unfortunately, that happens with some companies, but honestly, we try to do our best to actually not ghost anyone. Are we 100% effective on it? No. But we try to make sure we're at least having some type of acknowledgement across the board for every candidate.
Yeah, that's awesome. So Marcello noticed that Duncan's in the house. Yes, this would be midnight. I'm all about the dark roast. I run on dark roast. So, all right. And okay, let's talk about some interview prep. How can job seekers best prepare for interviews as a candidate that you submit, and do you assist them at all with interview preparation?
All right. So if you're a candidate of Higher IQ, we make sure that we are having a conversation. We're making sure that we're going through and doing interview prep with you. If you are going to a company direct without a recruiter and things like that, that's one where it's just like, hey, you're not getting the interview prep. We will walk through quite a few questions with them, make sure we're hearing what they're saying, and making sure that they actually are prepared to ask good questions. I want to know what the 5 questions. I want to make sure if all of your questions are written out, that you're going to be asking the company, and that you've done research on the company, that you've done research on, okay, is this company public or private? How many employees do they have? What products do they have? What do you see in the news? If it's a public company, okay, has the stock been going up? Has the stock been going down? Why? It's just like there's tons of information out there. But the big thing is, I think my dad had the great comment that he would actually ask every candidate, and I've used this on a regular basis: what have you done to prepare for this interview?
Oh, great question.
And if you can't come back and tell me at least 3 things that you've done to prepare for this interview, I don't think you're really interested in this position.
Wow.
Ideally,
I love that question.
Ideally, it's just you should be able to tell 5 different things. It's like, look, I checked you out on LinkedIn. I saw that you had this many companies. I checked out your company webpage. I saw that you had a recent post or anything like that. All the different things in there, just be able to actually show a difference.
Wow, that is a great question. I always tell people that they should typically have 7 to 10 star stories prepared. Now, here's a little interview tip that I shared at one of our workshops last night. If you have an index card and you have a hole cut out in the middle of that index card, you can tape it to your camera so you're always looking at your camera. And if you get your little black Sharpie out, you can have your bullet points of your star stories: situation, task, action, result, just so you have a little reminder of what star stories that you want to share, but you have to practice them. Now, if you're meeting in person, I always tell people, hey, bring that, fold out portfolio. You open it up, you got the lined paper on the right, you got the little pocket with the triangle on the left. And if you had a piece of paper in there and you had a couple bullet points with star story reminders, that might help you remember. But it's always appropriate to ask, may I take notes during the interview, right? And that way you've got it open.
Without a doubt. I mean, taking notes, going into an interview, yes, have your portfolio, have your resume. If you're meeting with 2 people, make sure you have 4 copies of your resume. Be prepared to have one for yourself and always have someone else pop it in. I was just like, okay, have a couple extras, and it doesn't hurt.
Yeah. You never know if you're going to have a panel interview. I mean, it does happen. And sometimes at panel interviews, they have a certain set of questions that they ask, and they have a rubric. And how did you respond to and answer, the interview questions with regards to the star story, giving some sort of a metric as to how you made impact. So it might be different, working with one recruiter versus if you were to send them into a company and they were to meet with a team because you felt they were a good candidate to send in, they might be faced with a panel of people, right?
Without a doubt. I mean,
Yeah.
more often than not, when I'm scheduling interviews with candidates, I'm making sure that I know who's going to be in the interview, especially if it's a in-person, face-to-face versus, okay, it's going to be a Zoom call. The Zoom call, from time to time, people pop in. And I was like, all right, or watching and are on camera. So those are ones that are like, okay, you have no idea who's actually on the call there. Just assume it's just like, okay, even if you're going after an entry-level position and it's a small company, assume the CEO is actually on the call and be able to have and make sure you're prepared, because honestly, there's no such thing as being over-prepared. There is such a thing as being underprepared or not underprepared or not caring. Given that attitude,
I don't know.
Like, okay, whatever, I'll wing it.
I don't know if you've ever read Malcolm Gladwell's Tipping Point, but he says,
yes.
In order to be an expert, you need 10,000 hours under you. So I know you're not going to put 10,000 hours of interview prep in, but if you want to be in the first violin seat, you want to be on the NFL. I mean, it takes practice, and the same thing. You've got to practice, for interviews. So are there certain interview questions that are common that people should truly expect, at least the ones that you would answer, that they should be prepared for?
Tell me about yourself. I mean, we have some of our clients that are still doing behavioral interviews, and then others are doing conversational interviews. So it's one where it's going to be dependent on the company and how they choose to review candidates. And I try to keep my coughing to a minimum. It's just the cold. The cough has lingered forever there. The questions I think that you should be prepared to ask: tell me about yourself. Tell me a time when you were exceeded expectations. Tell me a time where you've encountered a challenge. You've mentioned that you're actually you think outside the box and you're a problem solver. Well, tell me how you've solved. Tell me about a problem that you solved. Be able to have those certain things. I see quite a few of the questions coming up there. John Warner is just like, okay, your question is actually one of the ones that I ask on a regular basis, making sure my candidates ask on a regular basis. In 100 days, what did I accomplish? I think that's a great question, because it's one where you're getting the manager to come back and say to you, I was like, okay, these are the expectations we have, and this is something that we want to make sure that we're seeing there. So it's great to see with the people that are online with us. There are quite a few that I've actually recently talked with in the last 6 months. So
Awesome. So I did see, I can't remember her name because it's like the comment's been buried and it's kind of hard to track when we're live. And we just had a little blip. I don't know whether it's my internet. I think it was, because I'm the one that blipped off for a second. But somebody said, oh, I put my resume in the featured section of my LinkedIn profile. I'm going to tell you that I don't agree with that. If you have all the content and it's well written and it's on your LinkedIn profile, I don't think you should put a resume in your featured section, because it is not customized to each and every job. It takes 5 minutes to customize, the job title and a few keywords. It does take longer to do further customization to the job description, but I'm one of those people that I do not believe in putting a resume on a LinkedIn profile. Somebody else mentioned you need to have good paper when you print it out and take it in person. I don't think that hurts. I think that shows a little extra effort. And you can go to Staples and buy resume paper. It's not that much, money to do that. But if you're on a tight budget, you do what you got to do, right?
Yep. I honestly, with regarding the paper for the in-person interviews, yes, if you're able to actually be if you have the time, where sometimes I've had candidates before. I mean, a perfect example, when I started this business 16 years ago, I had a candidate that literally he applied for a posted position at 10 p.m. I shot him a text message at 10:15. It's like, hey, you're a perfect candidate. Are you able to talk this evening? I know it's late. Responds back. He goes, sure. I literally had him interviewing with the company, the VP of sales, the next morning at 9 a.m.
Wow.
He was hired within less than 2 weeks and was actually promoted from rep to a manager position in less than 6 months. And I was just like, okay. And his time frame with regards to actually doing a face-to-face and like that, it moved so. I mean, and he was employed. His time frame was moving so fast. He goes, Bill, I haven't had an opportunity to actually. He goes, I literally got the resume, got everything up to date, and I'm jumping on a plane to go for this interview. And I was just like, I haven't had an opportunity to put on fancy paper and like that. I'm like, they're not really going to pay any attention to the fancy paper when you get down to it. They're going to pay attention to what's on the paper and how you respond.
There you go. Yeah.
Fancy papers.
You got to do what you got to do.
Fancy paper is great, but honestly, it's all dependent on the time and money. So.
Yeah. So I see Felipe Confino on the call, and he says he completely agrees with no resume on your profile. Felipe has been one of our guest recruiters in the past, and he's got an HR background. So there you go. I've got validation on that. And Lynne Esquite-Tant also agreed. She's another fellow career coach. So whoever posted that, take note. Take that resume down. All right, let's talk about skills and qualifications. What are the most sought after skills and qualifications for candidates right now? I know you kind of inferred one of them is, you got to be able to communicate, right? So
Yes.
There's some soft skills. What are some important soft skills there?
So going back with the communication, yes, you need to be able to be proficient with the Microsoft Office suite. It's just like, do you have to be an expert or anything else like that? No. I mean, if you know how to actually sort Excel, and if you're familiar with the Google equivalent, Sheets, Docs, what have you, that's great. The biggest one is just like, hey, if you're going after a technical role, where it's just like, hey, your technical skills are going to be there. I saw a couple of the questions there, like that, where they were asking me to do an evaluation, or the candidate was being asked to do an evaluation of what they were trying to figure out. There's a couple of things when companies are having you do online testing or what have you. One, they're seeing if you can actually be able to do what you say you can. The other one is seeing the time frame it takes for you to process it. And then the other is just being able to see, it's like, okay, if you don't know how to do something, what are you going to do to be able to actually figure out how to do it? Your problem solving ability is definitely key there. I mean, yeah, communication skills, problem solving ability is just like, we're all going to, even if you are going to be on a project by yourself, you still need to know how to interact with others. And because you don't want to be that person that everyone goes out of their way to avoid. You want to be the one that's just like, okay, hey, if you don't know how to do something, you're not afraid to ask. And I think one of the greatest questions people can ask to hiring managers or anyone on the company is just like, okay, in addition to you, I got hired for this position. Who would be a great mentor for me if you're not available, that I can pick their brain and be able to actually get information that would help me do my job more effectively? Because giving that insight gives you some direction on who to be partnering with versus, okay, certain individuals who you should be avoiding, kind of thing.
Yeah.
I think that, did that cover, did that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's a great, great soft skills ideas. And I was on a Microsoft Office or Microsoft, webinar last year, and they had somebody from LinkedIn come on, and one of the soft skills they mentioned was resilience. And, I think that's also a really good soft skill to have. You got to have that emotional intelligence and be able to bounce back, because not everything goes as planned, right?
Oh, I agree with you there.
All right, so I'm going to do a quick commercial break. So in case anybody joined late, we will be providing the link to join us up on stage in, maybe 15 or so minutes. And then if you have any questions that you want to ask Bill, as a recruiter or about positions open and whatnot, you can do that.
Kenneth,
yep.
Go ahead. I got to say, I got to compliment Kenneth Dunner. Thank you for your compliments. I really do appreciate that, Kenneth Dunner.
Oh, yep. He's a gem of a gentleman and human being, and friend of many who share his goodness with others in the betterment of humankind. How nice. That's lovely. All right. So commercial break here. So if you want to tap into what I do, I am the executive director of a 501c3 nonprofit. It's called Great Careers Network. The website is greatcareers.org. If you go to the events page, you'll see at the very top, events quick list, and that'll give you a list of all the upcoming events coming up through the end of March. Then I'm also running a career readiness camp for teens, online and in person. So there's a link for that on the events page, as well as all our individual events. But please read the very top of the page, because there's get tickets, there's RSVP, or there's no link for a ticket. It might be an affiliate event. So I've got a bunch of LinkedIn workshops coming up. A lot of them are free, if I'm not mistaken. But we cannot survive as a 501c3 nonprofit without membership. So just like I paid for this morning, if you went to Starbucks and, you got a venti frappuccino, that's about the price that you would pay for a monthly cost at our nonprofit. It's, very, very minimal. It's the price of a fancy coffee, and 18 to 25 events. So that makes them, sort of pennies on each event, and will help us keep going. So other than that, this event is sponsored by the Thought Leadership Branding.club. I have been involved in that community for over 5 years already. I can't believe how much time has flown. So there's an events page on that where I have fellow career coaches doing some, career clubhouse or LinkedIn lives. And then there's other topics. We have master classes for entrepreneurs, and we just updated the website. So you'll see that there's, coaching involved and tech clinics and LinkedIn clinics. I mean, I find it truly amazing. It's my group, it's my people that help me as an entrepreneur, solopreneur. You know, it's my board, my board of directors, so to speak, that give me advice to keep going as an entrepreneur. So if you are a career coach or a small business owner, and want transformation, you definitely want to check out the Thought Leadership Branding.club. So, okay, that's my commercial. Now, let's talk about roles you're currently trying to fill. Where are they located? And do you have any remote jobs?
Remote, no. Hybrid, yes. On-site, yes. So I did a quick analysis of the positions that we're working on. It's eight different positions, but realistically it works out to probably about 16 to 20 different positions. Medical device CEO, Pittsburgh-based, hybrid role with experience raising capital, getting venture capital or private equity and firm investors, working with a sales distribution network that could become a direct sales force, who has called on plastic surgeons, general surgeons with first-year earnings potential between 200 to 500,000, depending on results achieved. Biopharma lab manager, Philadelphia area, on-site pre-commercial, first-year earning potential between 110 and 150, depending on experience. This is with 4 different companies: medical device development engineers, Boston, San Francisco, Bay Area, Pittsburgh, and Philadelphia, with first-year earning potentials between 75 and 150, depending on experience. Biologists and chemists for pharma and biotech technology companies, on-site with first-year earnings between 90 and 150,000, depending on experience. Life science board members, remote roles. These are the remote roles, but honestly, being considered for a board member is a very small, a very select group, anywhere from 120 to 400,000, with stock options and stuff like that, depending on companies. Lawyers for life science companies, hybrid role with first-year earning potential between 120 to 300,000, depending on experience. Business development director, medical device / biotech company, Philadelphia-based, covering the United States, with experience in dental and pain space, with first-year earning potential between 150 to 275,000, depending on experience and results achieved. And then sales reps across the board for medical device, pharma, biotech, and clinical research, with United States, with first-year earning potentials, depending on company, bonus and commissions, everything else like that, anywhere from 60,000 to 300,000. The biggest one is if anyone definitely has pain experience or dental experience in business development. So you're specifically calling on the companies that are making the toothpaste, that are making the mouthwash, what have you. Definitely reach out to me, because that's one where we have a client that honestly is just like, okay, they really want to get this going, and they're looking for someone that's able to actually knock on doors and make things happen.
Wow, that's an awesome load there. And they're not all just in the Philadelphia area either.
No, we recruit nationally. And honestly, if I had to go back and look at the percentage of positions that I have filled in the Philadelphia area versus across the country, it's probably been about less than 20% in the Philadelphia area. The other 80% has been all over the country.
Wow. All right. I saw a message that Michael Van Hall has been clicking on Easy Apply. Michael, we got to have a chat here. I am not a fangirl at all of Easy Apply. Go to greatcareers.org, and in the little search, magnifying glass, type in Easy Apply. you will see an article that I wrote several years ago. You click on that. I highly don't recommend that. I think you should go directly to a company's website because everybody's doing easy apply, so it's easy. However, LinkedIn did make some changes to that, and they did give you, I think, 3 choices or something if you want to highlight a company and why it's important for, why you want to work for them. But I typically would not recommend the easy apply because it's too easy. It doesn't make you stand out. And if a company has enough applicants on their website through their applicant tracking system, if they're a big company, they don't really need to go to easy apply, right? There's only so many hours in a day, so that's time resources in a human resources department. And so I would steer clear of that. But to avoid applicant tracking systems, there's something called human to human connection, right? Humans hire humans, not bots. So you got to reach out and touch someone. What is that commercial? You gotta build relationships, and that's the beautiful thing about LinkedIn. So if you comment on people's posts, if they're active, in a target company, that's a potential way of building a relationship with someone. All right. Any follow up on that?
No, I agree with that completely. One of the things that I tell my candidates, and Joseph Sayer, is just like with regards to reaching out to recruiters and making posts on LinkedIn, great idea. I had someone explain to me an algorithm that LinkedIn does. So if you want to have it where, let's just say you're connected to 500 to 700 people on LinkedIn. Okay, you've got a respected number there. But if you want to have where you're able to see more information, follow as many people as you can that are the subject experts in your field. Follow them, be able to have where you like posts, comment occasionally, be able to actually say, hey, good information to share. Just putting a comment out there, it's going to get you more information. With regards to recruiters, search for recruiters on LinkedIn. That are specifically that do recruiting for medical. I mean, I'm a life science recruiter, so medical device, pharmaceutical, it's just like talent acquisition. Think of many different ways to be able to find that. There was another post that I do want to comment on that was a few minutes back with regards to ageism. And unfortunately, it's going to happen. Okay, here's something that I actually saw recently within the last probably month or so. And it totally makes sense. And I honestly think this is a great idea. You have 20 plus years of experience. Okay, I now have 30 years of experience. And I was just like, okay, what's really relevant is the last 10 to 15. So me having where it's like I had 16 years and working in pharma and device and did well in that space, but I've had 16 years of being a recruiter. So the big thing is when recruiters, especially the younger ones, that are doing their searches, their ideal candidate age is 35. They have experience, but they're not. So keep that in mind. 15 years on a relevant experience. You have 20, 25, 30 years of experience. You're unfortunately going to see where it's not, your opportunities aren't going to be as plentiful. So I'm not saying I'm not saying to lie or anything like that, but our biggest thing is being selective on what you share, making sure that people have that. So
there you go. All right. So I have put in the link for the join us on Restream, and nobody is taking me up on that yet. So we're gonna and Meryl, if you want to pop that link in the chat. Also, I put it in our LinkedIn chat as well as in the comments, I think. So let's continue until we have somebody decide they want to come up on stage here. So what tips do you have for job seekers to reach out to you for an initial introduction?
Well, during this call, we've actually had 3 or 4 people actually book an appointment with me on Calendly. And my Calendly app on February 25th, 1 or 2 of you might need to get rescheduled because Calendly doesn't seem to be syncing up with my calendar as well as it should be. So I was just like, okay, I'll reschedule with you on an individual basis. With regards to reaching out, connect with me on LinkedIn. Send me a connection request. If you have a note, great. If you don't, no problem. If you don't have a note, I am going to send you a message back. It's like, hey, how can I help you? Let me know. And the biggest thing is like, hey, I understand not everyone lives on LinkedIn like myself and other recruiters, my wife included. But it's just like, okay, be able to make sure you're at least checking LinkedIn at least once a week, maybe 2-3 times. I'm on it every day. I mean, it's very rarely that I'm not looking at LinkedIn. So there's several things also. Here's a perfect example. Had a candidate who was worked with a Fortune 100. He was global director of communications, and we had talked and everything else like that. He picked a calendar time, or just like that, reviewed his resume and everything else like that. 2 weeks later, he sends me an email. Hey, Bill, give me a call. Okay, doesn't include his phone number. So I had to actually go into our database. I was driving, had to go into our database. I had to find the phone number or my calendar invite, find his phone number, and then be able to call him. I'll make a call. When I spoke him up, I was like, hey, I guess I don't work hard enough that you actually couldn't, you want me to call you, but you're not even including your phone number there. So real simple. If you're responding on your cell phone or responding on your computer, be able to actually have an email signature that goes out every time. Make it as easy as possible for people to get in touch with you. Having it in your contact information that you're sharing with your connections, first and second connections, are being able to actually have are being shared with the first and second connections. Have in your about section at least your email address. If you include your phone number, as just like, hey, you're going to get a few phone calls. But honestly, I have had my phone number on my LinkedIn profile for years now, and I'm willing to bet I get no more than maybe 20 phone calls on an annual basis from people that it's like, oh, I saw you posted something on LinkedIn. I saw your phone number. I'm reaching out there, and I'm like, all right, cool, that's awesome. But in the grand scheme of things, there's so many people that just, pick up the phone. And one other thing that I tell our candidates to do is like, okay, you found a position, you figured out who the hiring manager is with X, Y, and Z company. One of the free apps that we use that actually helps people quite a bit is called Hunter.io. It's using your Chrome web browser. Mm-hmm. It's free. They have a paid version. We just use the free version. It works totally fine. So let's go. Let me give you the example that I give everybody. You're on the Amgen webpage. You actually click on the Amgen. You're on there, and then you click on the Hunter.io extension. It's going to give you the email format. It's going to give you people's names. It's going to give their titles. It's going to give their URL to their LinkedIn profile. It might even actually give you their cell phone number, but it's also giving you their email. Is it 100% accurate? No, but honestly, it's one where it's a free tool to be able to have that. So especially if the position reports to the director of operations, position reports to chief clinical scientist or anything else like that. You have the title, go find that person on LinkedIn, be able to have that, and you can reach out to them. Apply directly, but also it's like, hey, I applied for this position. I think one of the greatest expressions that I've used before, please excuse my professional persistence. I'm going to be slightly of a pain in the ass, but I want you to at least realize that because not many people are going to do that. Yes, I realize not everyone on this call is a salesperson, and there's quite a few people that have difficulty walking up to complete strangers. Just come to realization. How do you know?
I love professional persistence. That's awesome. Yes. So we have a couple people that want to come up on stage.
Come on down.
I'm going to invite Joe up and Zarar.
Hey, Joe, I've actually met in person a couple times already.
All right. Joe, why don't you do a quick introduction of yourself and then ask your question. Oh, you got to unmute. Yeah.
How's that?
There we go. I can hear you, Joe.
Sorry, guys.
Okay.
I'm a systems quality, I guess, expert leader in the pharmaceutical biotech industry. Been doing this for a few years. Loving technology, way ahead, at least I'm seeing in interviews and conversations of a lot of the people I'm talking to, which I think should be sellable, but it's not working. And in interviews and even on my resume, and Bill helped me update it, I think I'm almost ready to share it again. But I'm feeling like how I present my information on my resume and my LinkedIn puts me at the same level or below people I know personally are wonderful people, but don't have the expertise that I have. Advice on how to use the right terminology to differentiate myself.
Joe, I'm not sure I understand your question. Could you?
Fair. So I've led global teams. I've managed budgets in the millions of dollars. I've managed, 50, 60 people at a time, depending on the effort, with lots of permanent employees, etc. I've found myself applying to roles where I'm not even getting an interview, where people that I mentored a few years ago and have maybe 10 years or less experience actually got the job. Good for them. But what do you think just in general could be missing that I'm not getting across to the recruiters and the hiring manager?
It's the only way I would be able to answer that question intelligently is being able to actually having a conversation, getting feedback from a hiring manager. It's like, okay, why did you go with this candidate versus this one? And pulling teeth, and honestly, getting feedback from hiring managers from a recruiter standpoint is one of the challenges of the job. It's just like, because honestly, candidate was great. Okay, could you expand upon that? Why did you like this candidate versus this candidate? And just being able to actually get additional information. So it's one where I can't give you a better answer than that, but it's one where it's just like, hey, they might have connected better with the recruiter or the hiring manager than you did. I was just like, so honestly, I really don't know. The only way I would be able to give you that information is being able to specifically talk with a hiring manager or talking with someone at that company. So
fair enough. One last bit and then I'll jump. And that is, this person got the job. Good for them. I didn't even get an interview. So I got the auto response 15 minutes after I sent the application in.
Yeah, those we love to no end. And I think the biggest one is it's a numbers game. And I think everyone needs to come to the realization. The numbers used to be, you applied for 100 positions, you're going to get about 10 interviews. Realistically, the numbers right now are between 5 to 10%. Realistically, closer to 5%. So you apply for 100 positions, you're possibly going to get 5 interviews. And come to the realization, my wife shared something with me this morning, and I was like that. She's like, you got to hear, sometimes you have to hear no 100 times before you hear yes. And I was like, I honestly think she does that. She's like, when I ask her, it's like, what do you want to do? No. Or do you want this? No. And I'm like, I think she's actually got me well trained. It's just like, okay, I'm going to hear 100. I'm going to hear no from her a lot more than I'm going to hear yes. But eventually she does say yes. So.
Okay, thank you.
So, Joe, where are you located? What city?
I'm in Chester Springs. I'm probably 15 minutes from here.
Okay. So on the 26th, if you want to come to Paoli in the morning, you can come to my office. We're having a hybrid meeting. And I'm going to give you a suggestion. I just took a very, very quick peek at your LinkedIn profile. You've got so much dense content.
Okay.
And look at Michael Van Hall's LinkedIn profile and his experience. Bullet point, white space, bullet point, white space. Every single bullet point has a metric in it. It's easy for the human eye to read, but it's all there for the bots. So
good stuff.
And hi, Ruth Sternberg. Thanks for joining us here today. Another fellow career coach. So, okay. I don't know if Joe has any other questions or not, but
Lynn, I saw quite a few comments where people have made the comment. It's just like glad to connect, folks. Lynn and I are reading these. It's going to be much easier for you to send us a connection request. I know I'll accept it versus me trying to actually go back and read through this. So please send me a connection request. I will accept it.
All right. Yeah, I see a few stacked up in my queue here, so I'll get to that after the event. Joe, do you have any other questions?
Not that I could think of off the top of my head, other than, can you give me a job today?
No, but there's a PA Biopharma networking event on March 10th in Malvern.
Awesome.
And if we connect on LinkedIn, I sent it to Bill this morning. I will be there because
Ditto.
I love, I love networking in person. I sent it to a bunch of people today. So yeah, we'll connect on LinkedIn, and then I'll send you that, and then we can meet IRL, right?
Awesome. Actually, I have 2 questions based just off of what you just said, if you don't want me staying for a second.
Yeah.
So I've got a bit of experience. I would like to talk to you about getting rid of some of the texting, adding in white space, but the LinkedIn profile you saw, I already removed a bunch of text. So I'm definitely missing something there. And then, and I'll just stop with that one. Like, what's a good way to get rid of the text, but also keep your information so you show up on the recruiter searches?
So, Bill, do you have LinkedIn Recruiter or LinkedIn Recruiter Lite, or are you doing Boolean searches?
I'm well trained on Boolean. We have Sales Navigator. So it's the biggest thing is I've been doing more business development, going after getting new clients, and I was just like finding candidates for me. I can Boolean search. I can find them very easily. Joe, Joe, you found me, or I know we connected and stuff like that. But the big thing is with regards to reducing the content that you have with your search. Again, it's the last 10 to 15 years that's the most relevant. So it's just like, okay, and it's keep focusing on that versus being able to have the 20 to 30 years. I mean, yeah, I've got 30 years of experience. I'm like, how'd that happen? I was like, well, hey, it happened.
So if you go on greatcareers.org, okay, there's a few keywords I'm going to ask you guys to put in because I think it's kind of relevant to some of the discussions we've had today. One is Boolean, Boolean, and I actually wrote an updated Substack article on Boolean searches. So like right under my LinkedIn profile, you'll see more gobsmacking resources, and that's my link of links. So it has my Substack subscription, my LinkedIn newsletter subscription, and all that in there. So Boolean is one keyword. Now, I saw some people ask about salary. So if you go on greatcareers.org, type in salary, there's an article on that. If you type in benefits, there's a alphabetical listicle of different kinds of benefits that you can negotiate for. There's gap, if you've got a gap in employment, and we've got a lot of long-term unemployed people going on right now, but people are still hiring, but you got to stand out, have a tailored resume, in my humble opinion, each job, and an optimized LinkedIn profile so you can be found. I'm all about the keywords. So, even though you've got large language models and AI reading, and you still have to make it human, and you still have to make it findable, and not all the keywords that you probably have in your skills section are in LinkedIn's database. So you need to do a little house cleaning on that. Just ask Michael Van Hall about house cleaning. But you could still get those keywords and the software skills and tech skills in your profile. It's just you can't put them in the skills section if they're not in the database. So I have another question for Bill, and then I'll come back to Joe if you've got something else. So, Bill, if you had a candidate you submitted for a position, what tips can you offer job seekers for follow-up after an interview? Do you want them reaching out to you? Do you want them to wait for you to reach out, or what?
Okay, so they've had, let me make sure I understand.
Somebody.
I've submitted them. Have they had an interview? Lynn, have they had that?
Yes.
Have they had an interview with the company?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So they've had an interview with the company. So honestly, I want them to, during the course of the conversation with the company, be able to actually come back and ask the person, hey, how can I reach out to you? How can I be able to, can I get your email address? Can I get your, ideally get the email address. If if they're doing this through Zoom, you're not going to get you may or may not get a phone number and things like that. But communicate, and for the candidate to actually copy the recruit, keep the recruiter in the loop. Because if you try to do certain things and you're not including the recruiter, it's like, okay, we want to know what's going on. There's no problem with CCing us. I mean, don't be CC us. It's just like, don't blind copy us, but making sure it's like, hey, the hiring manager knows that you're talking with both, that you're sending a thank you note to the hiring manager and you're actually including it with the recruiter, keeping everybody on board. Getting feedback from the hiring manager, from the recruiter standpoint. Yes, if we're presenting 2 or 3 candidates, we should be able to actually have it within a day or two. If it's 8 candidates going in, and I was like, and everybody's being interviewed, okay, it's going to be 2 days before I get all the feedback, and I'm going to make sure I pull teeth to get feedback from the hiring manager to let me know. It's like, okay, what did you think of John? What did you think of Mary? What did you think of Suresh? It's just like, tell me across the board. I want to have the information, and I'm going to go back and share the information what I can with the candidate. And I was just like, hey, here, this is what I gathered. This is what I want to make sure you have that. Because honestly, it's just like the only way you can fix a problem, you have to know what the problem is. And I had the one candidate where he talked over me 7 times. I literally said to him, you're going to be unemployed for a while. And he's like, excuse me? And I was just like, oh, good, you heard me, because you haven't listened to a thing I've said for 40 minutes. You have talked over me. There's so many times. And I got into it, and I literally let him know. I was like, look, you have to come to realization. It has to be a 2-way communication. It can't just be one way. It has to be where both of us are having a conversation and listening to the other and responding. If it's the other one just talking over someone, it's just like, hey, whatever. And I was just like, do I want to have this on a daily basis as an employee? No. So answer your question with regards to feedback and response and else like that. Candidates, get the hiring manager or whoever you talk with, get their email address. Ask them for it.
Excellent. Yeah, business cards if you're in person. So, yep. Okay, Joe, any quick follow-up questions so that we can give time to Felipe and Gregory?
Just a real quick one, and that is what I ran into this week, where the HR process was outsourced by the company. I just interviewed last week with a company, great interview and everything. But I asked about this, so I know it's intentional. They said so. They gave me no contact information to send the thank you note that you sent after an interview, and so not having anything else, I sent them a quick note on LinkedIn. Is that appropriate? Did I overstep, or what do you think?
I have no problem. From my perspective, you're showing initiative. You're showing initiative, and you're trying to have that. Versus you're letting you slip through the cracks. No. Send a message on LinkedIn. That's fine. You at least you know who the person's name was, and if you're able to find them on LinkedIn, congrats. Go for it.
Okay. Just curious.
All right. Felipe, one of these days, you and I are going to meet IRL, and we're going to have a drink.
I can't wait. I will treat you to that drink. All
right.
I always love making your shows, and Bill, you've shared great insight. I can tell you have passion for recruitment, because recruitment is something that I have passion for, and you can't tell until with the resume. Some background noise.
Gregory, are you able to put yourself on mute for a second? Beautiful. Thank you.
Sorry about that.
No problem. So, Bill, here's my question, because I've been recruiting for 30 years and I've been in HR for 30 years. And your comment about the aging, it's been in my head a little bit, because as of March, I'll be back on the market. I had to eliminate 65% of our staff due to U.S. aid going away, unfortunately. And so now this year, my job's going to be eliminated into this month. Now,
sorry.
Yeah, I mean, and I kind of saw it coming, but with the 23 years that I had with Hyatt Hotels. That was like the first real long where I learned everything I did in HR. Knowing that I was in banking for 10 years and then I was in nonprofit for 2 years, do you think I should, unless I'm applying for hospitality, just take off all of that experience in hospitality off the resume completely and just leave the 10 years of banking and the 2 years in nonprofit?
Nope.
Sorry, expand on your nope.
Expand on my no. I have a background in nonprofit, K-12 education, corporate experience, and entrepreneurship. That brings a wealth of business acumen. So I don't eliminate experience, but you should position yourself in your future forward where you want to go. So Felipe, if you look at the bottom of my LinkedIn profile to recommendations, my USAID client landed in 2 months.
Oh, wow. Okay, good. Well, go ahead.
So Felipe, from my perspective on the question, so what are you applying for HR director positions, VP of HR, chief HR, or HRO roles? So honestly, you have all this experience and beyond to have that. If you're applying for stuff in hospitality, make sure you have the hospitality. If you're applying stuff for banking, if you're applying stuff for nonprofit, make sure you include that. I mean, the 2 years in nonprofit is just like I was on the light side, but it's like, hey, you have the 10 plus years in banking, you have the 15 plus years in hospitality. That's just like, so depending on which way, what the company that you're applying to, I would be dependent on the resume you have. My biggest thing is, I really don't want people to have any more than possibly like 3, possibly 4 resumes. It's just like, okay, be as focused as you can be, because honestly, you'll get better results with that versus having, as it's like, okay, you've got 5 different resumes to choose from. I have to be paying attention to the time here. I'm seeing I have to make a call at 1:50 or anything like that. There was one, Felipe, if you want to follow up with me, please connect with me on LinkedIn and love to be able to assist you more. I saw one of the questions from Ruth Sternberg. I'm sorry if I'm saying the wrong, with regards to AI and analyzing resumes for identifying gaps or flags. Okay, so yes, we do have AI tools that we do use, but anyone who we are considering for roles, we look at the resume, we look with human eyes. We look at the resume, we look at the LinkedIn profile. We're making judgment calls. I'll give you a perfect example. 5 years ago, I had a guy who was enlisted Navy applying for a position. Okay, the Navy, honestly, you guys, the military should actually have their own, career development group. To be able, it's like, okay, you've served our country, you've put your life on the line, and this is where you have to come back and just say, we want to help you get in transition from military to civilian positions. The resume that this individual had was so bad, and I was just like, okay, I saw Navy, and I'm like, okay, boom. I was like, I just have a good haircut, I didn't serve or anything else like that. But as one where I'm like, I can't reach out to the guy. I'm like, look, I'm going to work with you. We're going to get your resume updated. We're going to get you a job. And he goes, I've been looking for 6 months, and you're the first person to reach out and tell me what I was doing wrong. And I was just like, hey, so if you haven't figured out from the presentation today or something like that, I think this is one of the reasons why Lynn asked me involved with this. I enjoy helping people, plain and simple. And I was just like, okay, and I help companies. I mean, I have 4 of my clients that actually, it's just like, I help them build their sales force. I help them build their engineering. I help them build their labs. They got acquired by venture capitalists. They got acquired. They were acquired. Everyone got checks, including the entry level positions. And I was just like, people come back. They're like, I have one of my company. One of the guys I work with for 3 different companies. He's like, okay, Bill. He goes, I need you to do recruiting for us and work your magic. And I was like, what do you mean? He goes, the last 2 companies I worked for that you assisted me with recruiting have been acquired. And everyone at the company got checks. And I was like, okay. He goes, I need you to do your magic again. And I was like, all right, this is awesome. So go.
Just as an FYI, the military does have a TAP program. And I have had earfuls on that, but I won't share those airfoils. That's why there are career coaches like Lynn Tant, who specializes in military. But I've had plenty of, military clients, and I can take anybody at any age in any industry. I have PhDs, ESQs, JDs, MDs, DOs, all the way down to their kids in college looking for, an internship, or they just graduated. It's all about the positioning and the keywords and the accomplishments, with metrics and whatnot. So you got to be able to tell your impact. It's those dollars, numbers, and percents that you mentioned.
Yep, and we got Gregory here. And Gregory, if you're
Yes.
muted, if you can unmute yourself, let's make sure we don't let you slip through the cracks.
Yeah. By the way, Bill, go Buffs.
Go Buffs! I was there 90 to 94, sat next to Cordell Stewart half my junior year and all my senior year.
Wow.
We were in the top 25.
Wow, Slash, huh?
Yes, Slash.
Slash.
Like,
okay.
The Steelers fans know who I'm talking about, and else like that, along with the Chicago Bears. But unfortunately, his NFL career never produced a Super Bowl ring. But he definitely was a class act across the board. And glad to see Deion Sanders is actually reviving our program.
That's why I follow. I am that's like one of my 4 or 5 college football teams that I follow because of primetime Deion Sanders.
Cool.
Since that you're basically kind of like in the pharma's atmosphere or healthcare per se, as you may know, people who are neurodiverse gets a very, very stigmatized bad rap, or I will say in gambling terms, a very, very bad hand. How can people who are neurodiverse stand out in this crazy marketplace du jour in regards to, in terms of beating back the stigmatization of in their corresponding job search? Because when you're neurodiverse, I'll use a football term, you're basically, I will say, 2 touchdowns and a field goal behind before you get through the door, basically. So yeah.
Gregory, great question. Definitely send me a connection request on LinkedIn. We are partners with the Kelsey Advisory Group. So Tracy Kelsey, and then one of the guys that we talk with on a regular basis is Kevin Davis, who also has a neurodiverse background. And it's one where give you ideas with that. They're depending on what type of role you're going after, and else like that. I can give you some of the tips that I would recommend. But it's one you and I need to have an additional conversation, and I have about 3 minutes left where I can.
Yeah. And Gregory's in Canada, though.
I'm the enemy, basically. So yeah.
Oh no! It's a beauty. I remember watching. I remember watching the McKenzie brothers as a kid, and I was like that, and I was just like, they need to bring that back. I have no problem talking with my Canadian with my friends from the north.
I know that's okay. Yeah.
So yes, right. Send me a connection request. I'd love to have a future conversation with you.
Will do.
All right. So to wrap up, what is it that I have not asked that I should have, and where should people, other than LinkedIn, where can they go? What's the website that they should reach out to find out what you got going on in the way of jobs?
All right. So easiest thing, register on our website. If you're looking for a job in the life science space, medical device, pharmaceutical, biotech, clinical research, diagnostics, register on our website. We work on positions just in the U.S. The website is hire-iq.net, right underneath my name. Connect with me on LinkedIn. As I said, be able to get instructions with that. Please realize I have a little bit of a backlog of connection requests that I need to accept. So I am going to get that cleared out in the next week. With regards to other social media platforms, we have an Instagram page. We don't use it much. We don't have a Facebook page. It's just like so. LinkedIn is our primary, and that's the.
All right, and
Yes.
back to Felipe. Felipe, since your screen froze, reach out and book a call with me. You'll find that link 3 places on my LinkedIn profile, and I'll give you my 2 cents worth. I got to earn that drink there. So I will see you next week, IRL, Bill, in Malvern at the PA Biopharma Networking Group meeting. And thank you so much for joining us. I'm sure you're going to get a lot of connection requests. And then if you go back into the comments in the event afterwards, when you get a hot minute, you can also respond to each of the people if you want to, if they have questions, because I know all the questions didn't get answered. But please go to thoughtleadershipbranding.club to the events page and see what TLB's got going on. And obviously go to greatcareers.org. We've got so many great events. There's a veteran resource fair locally here on Saturday. And then I'm doing a 2-hour workshop on snazzy graphics for social media. And then next week I've got starts, some of the LinkedIn workshops. So hopefully you'll join us. And thank you again, Bill, for coming. Anything to wrap up?
Lynn, thank you for having me. Hopefully this was beneficial. I was glad that I was able to.
Absolutely.
I was glad that I was able to put my brakes on versus me stumbling initially during the first 2 minutes or so. But hey, we're all human.
I want to tell you who's coming next month. Victoria Hyman. She's a talent acquisition leader in engineering, and she works for RVE.com. And then Sam Valou is coming in April, and he's all about AI, IT, jobs, and whatnot. He's actually coming to speak for us 2 days before Recruiter on Call with Jobs. He's fantastic. I've had him as a speaker before, so he gets to do double duty: speaker on telling us about AI stuff, and then also Recruiter on Call. So thanks so much. I hope you all have a great day, and we'll see you next month on Recruiter on Call with Jobs, as well as on